So, I want to talk about subconscious blocks or beliefs. I think for most of my life, I was always trying to heal. I was always trying to get rid of my negative emotions. And I was obsessed with finding limiting beliefs. I was always obsessed with um, trying to find the next thing wrong with my subconscious mind so I can fix it, so I can attract the life of my dreams once all this subconscious blocks are gone, right? And that was great. That helped my healing journey a lot. I was able to overcome so much, like anxiety to like confidence to not feeling good enough. I was able to overcome a lot. However, I once I've got into this Abraham Hicks teachings, I realized, oh my gosh, I would have healed. I would have gotten to a much higher vibrational place a lot faster if I realized what I understand now. So when I talk about subconscious blocks, I'm talking about the whole limiting beliefs, beliefs, trauma, all of that. The thing is, I used to believe, hey, I'm feeling this negative emotion, right? That must mean that I have subconscious trauma or whatever I need to get rid of, right? And we spend our whole life doing that for a lot of us. And so the problem with that is that it's not entirely accurate. The truth is that the only reason that you still suffer negative emotions from something in the past, like trauma, for example, like something that happened to you when you were a kid. Let's say something terrible happened to you when you were very young. And you still feel tons of negative emotions because of it. Why do you still feel these negative emotions when the event that has happened is long gone? So, the only reason you still feel negative emotions from something that happened so long ago is not because you are subconsciously traumatized, you are subconsciously damaged, or you are biologically damaged or something. That is not the reason why you still feel negative emotions right now. The only reason you still feel negative emotions to this day about something in the past is only because of the thoughts that you are activating that are about it. Something happens and you are reminded of a certain thought, and you pick up that thought basically. Basically, whenever we think or whatever, we pick up a thought pattern. Right? So we pick up this thought, and this thought has tons of negative momentum about it. So the moment you pick it up, you instantly get that huge trigger. You instantly feel very triggered. And that's not because your subconscious mind is damaged, because that's not the case. What it is literally the thought that you are choosing to think. Imagine a stick, right? So imagine every time you think a thought, you're picking up a stick, because every thought is two thoughts. Every thought is the positive and the negative version of it. So, for example, money. On the positive side of this stick, it's like abundance of money, thoughts about abundance of money. And on the other side is thoughts about poverty and lack of money, right? So the same with your trauma. You picked up the stick of thought, right? You're thinking about your childhood or whatever, and it has tons of negative moment. You're on a negative momentum side, and you have tons of it. You have tons of negative momentum. So every time you pick up this thought, what is happening is that you are picking up where you left off with this negative emotion, with this negative momentum. So that is the only reason you feel negative emotions, because your emotional guidance system, is telling you, hey, the thoughts that you are thinking is so out of whack with your inner being, how your inner being is seeing these situations, or what your inner being is focused on right now, right? Your inner being is not focused on something that happened to you 20 years ago. It's literally has no control over your vibration now until we think it. Until we choose to focus on these negative things, it has no influence on our vibrations now. In the future, I'll definitely talk about strategies about how to go from all this traumatic low vibrational energy into a high vibrational energy, and that'll be later in the future. And it'll be pretty exciting. It's actually pretty fun, and it's actually extremely easy. It is like not what you think it is. So what I want you to get out of this video is, number one, trauma, or just, because I used to be someone who was obsessed with finding my traumatic memories, finding my limiting beliefs, finding all these subconscious things, right? Like we think, oh, that's the problem. So realize we have to shift away from all that, like just thinking that there's hidden stuff hidden from us that we can't control or whatever, and realize, wow, the only reason I'm feeling negative emotions is because of the thoughts that I'm offering right now. That's the only reason. It's simply my emotional guidance system letting me know that the thoughts I'm thinking right now is not in alignment with our inner being. And the last thing I want you to understand is that a belief is simply a thought that you keep thinking. Any belief that you have is simply a thought that you keep thinking. So a belief is basically a thought pattern that you are thinking. So it's not some subconscious weird entity, that's holding you down, that you have to find the perfect process to process this traumatic subconscious block. You just gotta change your thought pattern, or pick new thought patterns to think, instead of always picking up this same negative thought pattern that you've been thinking. You just gotta move away from it. You gotta move to better thought patterns and let this one basically die. And we will talk more about this, but you don't have to worry about that. And if you get really good at it, we can take this thought pattern and move it from a negative thought pattern into the exact opposite positive thought pattern of the same exact subject. So it can all be done, but it all comes down to thoughts that you are offering in this moment. Nothing else is making you feel negative. Nothing in your past is haunting you unless you are offering these thoughts, right? And the higher we get vibrationally with this stuff, the easier all this becomes until you eat up these thought patterns like dessert. Like, you're gonna get so good at this, hopefully. But it might be tough for the beginner just because of the lack of understanding and lack of experience. But once you get good at this, it's game over, and you'll never be ever be scared of negative emotions, thought patterns, or anything like that ever again. So, number one is we got to shift that paradigm from trauma, subconscious blocks, limiting beliefs, belief system, into, okay, the only time our emotions affect us is if we are offering thoughts, okay? And number two, the thoughts we are offering can have a really strong negative momentum, and that's why you get so triggered, because you have already been thinking all these really negative thoughts, and it's built up this really negative thought patterns. And so remember, all a belief is a thought that you keep thinking over and over again. A conscious thought that you keep thinking over and over again. When you think a conscious thought over and over again, it becomes a thought pattern. And that's what a belief is. Belief is a thought pattern, which is just a thought that you are repeating to think over and over again. So I hope that gives you a lot of clarity and just realize, wow, all of your power is in your thoughts now, right? And like I said, we're gonna figure this out. There's tons of ways to approach this. So thank you for listening. I hope you listened a few times, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, if you would like to work with me one-on-one so we can take your vibration to the next level, then click the sign up button below and let's get that started. You're looking for someone who has already made that vibrational transformation that you're looking for, someone who has overcome their negative thoughts and negative emotions, as well as someone who has helped other students do the same exact thing. So if working with me one-on-one to transform your vibration resonates with you, I ask you to act fast because I only have a limited amount of spots for my new students, because I want to make sure I give my students the time and attention that they deserve. So if you're interested, click the button below.